Welcome to another episode of That's So Nourishing. In this episode, we are diving into self love, but in probably a different way than you've ever heard it before. I'm going to be sharing the source definition of self love and an actual formula for how to implement self love in your day to day life and how to build self love. Self love as a whole, I feel like gets a bad rap because it's become this term that's a bit elusive. It's like, okay, I understand that I want self love, but what does that actually mean? How do I get it? For a lot of us who have spent our whole lives calling myself out here, beating ourselves up or judging ourselves, shaming ourselves, and creating all these stories and building all these survival patterns. And then we realize, wait, but I want to build more self love. There's a gap of how do I actually do this? Or it feels like a huge process and a lot of steps to actually be able to access self love. Or it's this whole journey to build throughout our lifetimes of being like, okay, how do I actually get this self love? And so much rewiring. Or we think, oh, self love is the bubble baths, the crystals, the affirmations, the journaling, going for a walk when I need it, giving myself the time I need. And yes, while all that self care is a piece of self love, that is not the whole picture. There's a lot more to it. So, if you are someone who has felt, I know a lot of the audience is busy and we're holding a lot and we got a lot of things to do. Oh, I don't have time to take a bubble bath. I don't have time to go for a walk. I don't have time for myself. I want you to know that what we're going to dig into today, you don't need a lot of time for. It's something that you can incorporate in your everyday life all throughout your day. No matter what, this is accessible to everyone, even if you don't have a ton of time. So let's just feel the exhale there. Doesn't have to be a million things to tie together or this whole process. And I'm going to share that with you today. A lot of times self-love also gets misconstrued because we feel like it's selfish. We feel like actually showing up for ourselves and taking the time we need and putting ourselves first is this selfish act that we're not supposed to do that. We're taught that and really conditioned in our society and our culture that we're meant to do everything for others, that we need to serve others before we actually serve ourselves. And if we serve our own needs, that it's selfish. I know for so much of my life, I grew up thinking I need to put everyone else before me or else I'm selfish. And I did not want to be considered selfish. It was like the worst thing I could think of. And then as I started doing more of this deep work and really understanding myself and really unraveling from all these conditionings and patterns that I was taught in my life, I realized, wait, I actually have to put myself first. Selfish is actually not a bad thing. We want to take care of our own needs so that we can become the version of ourselves that we're meant to, so that we can then support others, so that we can create the impacts that we have on this world. And this was a big unraveling for me because I know a lot of us, a lot of you guys are probably similar. We've been so conditioned that we are meant to overexert, to self sacrifice, to pour out to others. There is literally a golden rule, and the golden rule is do unto others how you would want done to you. And it doesn't give any space to actually do for yourself. And I'll talk about this in a bit. But first, I want to get into what self love actually is. The actual source definition of self love is putting yourself first no matter what. So, prioritizing yourself in all situations so that you can be at your best to serve. Because think about it, if we're not actually prioritizing ourselves and making sure that we are at 100%, we're not going to be able to serve in the way that we really want to. We're not going to be able to support others in our ultimate capacity, in our fullest potential, because we're going to be depleted. We're going to feel resentment. We're not going to have our needs met. So how are we going to actually be able to be there for others at 100% if we're not at 100%, if we've exerted all of our energy? And I'm going to go into different ways because I can feel that there's might be some resistance to this, but self-love is, again, we're putting ourselves first. We're prioritizing ourselves so that we can be at our best to serve others. When I say putting ourselves first, no matter what, prioritizing ourselves no matter what, I mean that in all areas of life. So that comes in your thoughts. Where are your thoughts? Are your thoughts beating yourself up? Are your thoughts valuing someone else's opinion or someone else's needs over yours? Or are you reeling in those stories You can go back and listen to episode 5 on stories. Or are your thoughts prioritizing you and what's in your best interest? Because if we're not, then energy is just leaking, leaking, leaking. So again, we're not going to be at our best to serve others. Are you prioritizing yourself in different situations? Are you checking in with yourself and what you need to be at your best? Or are you just going into situations blindly or just on autopilot and then operating in a certain way that might not be the best that you could be? Or are you saying yes when someone asks you for something or when someone needs something from you when you actually really don't have the capacity for it? Or when you needed to do something for yourself first? Or are you constantly worrying about everyone else and not thinking about yourself or what your needs are? We're taught that this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to worry about everybody else before us. But the problem with this is that then we deplete ourselves and then we're not actually serving anyone at the best that we could be. So we're going to dig more into this, but I want to plant this seed here so that you can start to unravel if you maybe have any resistance towards actually prioritizing yourself and putting yourself first. And I'll explain throughout this episode as why that is one of the best things and most selfless things that we can do. Think about it this way as well. If someone asks you to pick them up from the airport, are you just going to get in your car right away and just drive without checking that you have gas or that everything is set for you to make it to the airport safely? No, you're going to check if you have gas. You're going to see, okay, if I don't have gas, I'm going to need to get gas before I can pick you up. So this is that same concept. You're checking if you have gas, if you have the energy or you have the capacity, or if you need something else to do what someone else asked you. Because again, you wouldn't go pick someone else up without gas. If you did, you'd probably get stuck on the side of the road somewhere, which would create a whole situation, and then you wouldn't be able to actually pick them up. Or if you do pick them up, then on the way back, you'd have a whole issue and it wouldn't serve them either. So this is the same concept. You want to check in every situation. You want to prioritize yourself first to make sure that you have the gas, to make sure you have what you need to be at your best in that situation, to be able to serve. This is also why we talk about putting your oxygen mask on first before you even help your child, because you got to make sure you are taken care of so that you can be at your best to help someone else. So you can see here as actually putting yourself first is selfless because you're doing that so that you can serve others. So I hope this is unraveling maybe any pushback, any resistance towards putting yourself first. But this is the actual definition of self-love. And why it's so important to know this is because when we talk about what the mainstream society thinks self-love is, which is being worthy, being enough, being valuable, really being kind to yourself, it can be like, okay, but how, right? How do I actually do that when I don't feel this way towards myself? And it can be really hard to rewire those beliefs. Or it can be, like I talked about earlier, the bubble baths, the crystals, the affirmations, all of this. But what I want to say about those things that's really important to note is yes, you can do all of those things. And yes, they are supportive. And by all means, if you are a self-care queen, go get it, girl. However, what I want you to keep in mind when you do those things is where's your head at? What's your energy like? Are you actually being kind to yourself in those moments? Are you prioritizing yourself and allowing yourself to actually be present in it, to enjoy it? Or are you beating yourself up, shaming yourself, guilting yourself, thinking about what you should have said or what you have to do later? Like, where is your head? Where is your mind and your thoughts? Because just because you're doing the self-care, if you're not actually prioritizing yourself in it, then that's not going to translate as self-love. Or if you are only giving yourself that hour of prioritizing yourself throughout the day, well, how are you treating yourself for the rest of the 23 hours? What is your baseline of your self-love just in your day-to-day in each situation? Because while it's great that you can give yourself the self-care and the self-love in those moments, if you are being present in them, what about the rest of the time? And it's those micro moments throughout the day, all the mundane moments that really make a difference and that are really going to affect our actual baseline. Go back to episode 3 to learn more about the baseline, but that are going to affect our baseline of self-love and what that actually is. So we want to make sure that we are showing up for ourselves all throughout the day, that we are consistently prioritizing ourselves, and that we are doing this in each situation, in each moment of every day. And that is what is going to create self-love. A lot of us come in with low self-love, and we have this soul lesson to build self-love throughout our lifetime. So if you struggle with self-love, know that you are not alone. And if this has felt like a whole path of trying to get self-love or not knowing how, or just not feeling like you have a lot, know that this is a big soul lesson for so many of us to come in and really build that. And when we come in, when our souls come in, we start at different levels depending on our past lifetimes. And then we work to build this self-love up. And so what I'm sharing with you today, this simple piece of just prioritizing yourself first in each situation, and I'll go over how to do this. This can really enhance our levels of self-love. Think about this too. If someone breaks a glass and they ask you for your help, if you just run into the situation and you go help them, while that might seem like a really great thing to do, what can happen? Well, you're running into broken glass. So if you don't put shoes on, you can step on it. And maybe you go to help them and then you end up stepping on glass, your foot starts bleeding. And then instead of cleaning up the glass, they end up having to patch up your foot and bandage you. And then maybe you even have to go to the hospital. Versus if you just took that second to prioritize yourself and say, oh, just hold on 1 second. I'm just going to put on shoes and then help you. You can see how that is actually serving the other person because you're prioritizing yourself by putting on shoes so that you don't get a cut on the glass. And because you did that, you're now able to serve at a higher degree and really be there for someone and support them. And as you do this, this really shifts your levels of self-love and the way that you're acting towards yourself and the way that people can act to you. The golden rule that we're always taught is do unto others as you want done to you. If you want people to be kind to you, if you want people to honor you and you want people to do things for you and to treat you a certain way, do it for them. We've probably all heard this before. And so because of this and because of the way we're taught, we end up focusing so much on what we're doing for others. But what's missing here, there's a lot missing here, but one of the things that's missing here is the fact that the golden rule actually shouldn't be that. The golden rule should actually be do unto yourself the way that you want others to treat you. Because if you are not treating yourself in a certain way, if you are not treating yourself with self-love, if you are not prioritizing yourself, other people physically cannot prioritize you. I'll repeat that. If you are not prioritizing yourself and tending to your own needs, really giving yourself what you need in each situation, then other people physically cannot prioritize you. So what do I mean by that? Well, I talked about in a previous episode how the world is a mirror to our nervous system. And the world is also a mirror to how we treat ourselves. There's this concept called the creator field, which I will talk about more in a future episode. But basically what it states is that this creator field is our electromagnetic field, and it literally gives out scripts to everyone that we're interacting with for how they have to interact with us. And so if we are not prioritizing ourselves, we are saying that we are not worth prioritizing, that we don't need to be prioritized. And so the script that they are getting means, oh, I don't prioritize them. And it's not even consciously, they might not even realize it, but they just literally cannot meet you there or cannot prioritize you in the way that you want to because you're not doing it to yourself. So the script going out is telling them not to. A great way to think about this is I know for myself, when I was younger, there were times when I would do things for people and I would really override my own needs and what I wanted in a situation because I thought that if I people pleased, that if I did what this person wanted and I went way out of my way to support them, that they would then do the same for me at one point, or that they would then value me in some way. But what ended up happening was that I never got the response that I was really hoping for, or they would end up when it came to be a time when I needed something, I didn't actually get the same support. But then there was someone else who in that same situation, they actually didn't go bend over hand and knee to do what this person wanted. They actually stood by their own needs and prioritized themselves. And then that person, the person who I went overrode my own needs and did all of this stuff for, actually preferred to hang out with them or actually valued them more. And I never understood why that was the case until I learned about this concept, how it's because I wasn't valuing myself. I wasn't putting myself first or prioritizing myself. So they physically could not value me. And the other person was. So they were able to value that other person. This is huge. We are literally teaching people how to interact with us through the way that we interact with ourselves. So if we are not prioritizing ourselves, other people cannot as well. Start to think of these examples in your own life, maybe where you were hoping someone would prioritize you and they didn't. And is it because you can think back and think, oh, well, it's because I wasn't actually prioritizing myself there. And then maybe there's other moments where you actually really did get what you were hoping for and you got cared for in a certain way. And you could see, oh, well, because I was treating myself really well in that season. See if you can start to notice these patterns in your own life. I know that this can seem really counterintuitive because, again, we're taught to give, and that selfish is so bad, like I was saying. But I want you to think about a lot of times when you give to people, if you have a lower level of self-love or if you are feeling depleted, are you actually doing it just out of the goodness of your heart? And be honest here, because this is a big one. And sometimes we don't want to admit it. But a lot of times when we are giving to people, we are doing it with some expectation. Either it makes us feel good, and so we want to give to someone else because that actually makes us feel like we're useful, we're valuable, we're worthy, and gives us a purpose. Or it's because we're expecting something. Maybe we don't realize this, but we're thinking that ultimately it will come back around to us. At some point that they will then be there for us in the way we need them, or that people will, again, the golden rule, treat us the way that we treat them. And so we're not actually just giving out of the goodness of our hearts, out of the fact that we want to give. We are giving for some reason. We are typically giving to get something. This can be very confronting. And when we give to get, that actually means that there's a piece of us that's not being fulfilled inside, that we're trying to get from external sources. And this is a piece with all those self-care pieces I was talking about too. We're trying to get self-love from something outside of ourselves. So we're either trying to get it from someone else for them to make us feel valuable and worthy and enough and like we're lovable, or we're trying to get it from doing some external activity. However, true self-love is when we can ultimately find it within ourselves, when we can source that self-love. We don't need it from anywhere else. We don't need it to fill a void. A lot of times if we don't have the self-love we're desiring, when people do try to fill that void, it feels a little empty, or maybe it gets filled up for a little bit, but then it depletes again and it goes back down. So when we're putting ourselves first, what this does is this is giving us everything that we need. When we are checking in every situation, well, what do I actually need right now? What do I need now to be at my best? And when we do that, then we are filling our own cup so we can actually pour it out. We're not expecting anything in return because we are giving everything to ourselves. So we don't need it from anywhere else. And we're not seeking or searching for it from anywhere else then. And we have it, which means then we can give an overflow. And when we can give an overflow, when we can show up for people in this way and serve in this way, it is so much more magnetic. And because we don't need the validation, we don't need them to tell us we're enough or that we're lovable, or we don't need that connection or whatever it is that we're seeking when we give, we actually end up getting it way more than when we're grasping for it. And when we give and when we serve others, because we are full and because our energy tank is at 100, we then are able to give because we want to serve, because it lights us up, because we are at 100%, because we are full. I do want to highlight a lot of this self-sacrifice that I was talking about, this guilt, this over-giving, overextending, all of that. That also is something that we're taught at a young age, and it is a survival response. So we talk a lot about the nervous system here. It is a nervous system state that we take on, and it feels really safe. It's how we have learned to get love, by giving, by overextending ourselves. And so what I'm saying today might shake a few things up. And so just notice if it's bringing stuff up for you, but also know that these are deep-rooted nervous system patterns. So if you are noticing that you do this a lot, or you do this a lot, then know that this is deeply ingrained in your nervous system as what feels safe. And so that's why this has become a baseline. And this has also become something that is really ingrained within you. And it's really normalized for a lot of us because a lot of us learned that all of these ways of showing up is the best way to survive and the best way to get love. But what we were never taught is that actually the opposite, by prioritizing ourselves first, by giving it to ourselves first, we're able to get way more love, and love that actually really feels fulfilling than we potentially could in the way that we're usually taught to show up, in the way that our survival responses are geared towards as well. And I'll just add here too, looking at the bigger picture of things, if we are always giving to people and we're not really giving them the space to give to themselves, then we're also taking that away from them. We're taking away the opportunity that they have for the lessons to learn, the obstacles that they're meant to go through, the growth that they have as well, for them to develop into their fullest potential and who they're meant to be and what their soul came here to do. So a lot of times when we think, oh, we have to do this if we love them, or we have to do this to get love, or whatever it might be, all the stories that we have, just try that on and shift that. Oh, well, maybe this actually isn't serving them the best way. Maybe the best way to love on myself and them would actually be not to give them what they're asking right now, or would actually be to pour into me first. Maybe that actually is the best thing. Prioritizing yourself in each moment, checking in with yourself, can be done in a lot of different ways. So it doesn't just have to be the way we maybe might think, like, oh, I need to go take a bath, or I need to go give myself a hug, or I need to go for a walk, or whatever it might be. Those are ways that you can do it. But sometimes it might be, oh, I need to go cry right now, or I need to just scream in the other room, or I need to just take a breath. It can be anything. It's not always some huge thing either. So when we're doing it in each moment, it's just as we go into every situation, we are just asking, what do I need right now to be at my best? And we're just consistently asking that before we go into the situation, before we say yes to what someone asks us to do, or before we go into an interaction. And as we do this, we start to build that muscle of self-love, because we're starting to really prioritize ourselves in each moment. So maybe someone asks us if we can help them out later today. Maybe we just say, oh, well, I just need to check my schedule. Even that, we're prioritizing ourselves versus saying yes right away. Or if we're noticing our thoughts are going off a million miles an hour, we're just pausing. Okay, what do I actually need right now to be in the best headspace? And then we're giving that to ourselves. If our kid was like pulling at us and really needing something, we're just saying, okay, what do I actually need in this moment to be my best? Oh, I need a breath. Okay, let me take that breath. And because I took that breath, I'm not going to snap at my kid now, and I'm actually going to be able to support them way more. Or if we're sitting down to work and we're going to get into our business, or we're going to go to our job, just that pause of, okay, what do I need right now? What do I need to be at my best right now? Ooh, I need to just stretch for a second. I need to move my body in a way. Or, oh, I need to call a friend really quick. Or I need to go change my clothes. You can see that it's a range of different things. It's just taking that micro moment throughout your day before each situation of thinking, okay, what do I need right now to be at my best? How do I put myself first here? How do I prioritize myself? It doesn't need to even affect the other person. They don't even need to know about it. It's just something that over time, as you do, you're going to start noticing that your tank is filling up, that you are making sure you have what you need before you go into any situation. And it doesn't even mean you're saying no to people. We'll talk about boundaries in the next episode, but it just means you're checking in with yourself first, and you are giving yourself what you need before going and giving to someone else, or before serving someone else. And you're doing this so that you can serve at your best, or you can be at your best for whatever task is at hand. So you can see how not only is this creating self-love, is this prioritizing ourselves, but it's also optimizing our performance in each moment. It is hitting on so many key pieces that we desire, just by taking this little pause. And you can see how this is making us better in each situation. As I go through these examples, I hope some things are clicking for you to really realize how, oh, actually putting myself first, one, can be so simple, and two, is making me be better in all of these situations and be able to support more people. Because as you do this too, your energy is going to rise. You're going to feel more full. You're going to actually fill your cup up and your energy tank. So again, you don't need it from other people, but so that you have the excess to pour out, and so that you can make sure you are taken care of to create this big mission and this impact in the world, whether it's the world or in your home or your community. You need the energy for it. And so by putting yourself first, you're going to be giving yourself that. And again, you teach the world what you're available for by how you treat yourself. So if you want other people to treat you well, it starts with you. It all starts with you. So how are you showing up for yourself? in each moment. If you want it from other people, you got to give it to yourself first. And notice as you start giving it to yourself, how people shift, how people around you start to actually validate you in the way that you were hoping for and start to put you first. And you might not even care at that point, but just notice that it's happening. Just a little pause here. If you are loving this concept and really feeling a shift and you want to dive deeper into just seeing the world in this way and really supporting yourself through this lens, then join my email list, because I do free live weekly webinars where I break down topics like this and really shift you at your core in how you show up in your everyday life and support you in creating new perspectives around what's ultimately serving you, so that we can create the most lit up lives and really create more agency in your life for who you are as you start to understand yourself more and what you're capable of and what's possible. So definitely join the email list, because I have amazing resources and trainings for you in there. What's also really cool about this is I mentioned earlier about the beliefs that a lot of us hold of I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable, I'm not lovable, I'm not enough. These are big beliefs in our society, some of the main core limiting beliefs that we have. And it can be very hard to shift these, or we need to do a lot of deep work, process trauma or moments in our lives or shifting beliefs in different ways to really get to the core of shifting these beliefs. However, when we consistently prioritize ourselves in every moment by taking these actions all of the time, we are rewiring our neural pathways. And so we are in turn changing these beliefs. Because as you keep putting yourself first and checking what you need in each situation and giving that to yourself, one, think about the relationship that you're forming with yourself. That is huge. And two, you are telling yourself, you are programming that I am worthy, I am enough, I am valuable, I am lovable, because you are, one, loving yourself by doing that. You are valuable because you are valuable enough to put yourself first. You are worthy enough to put yourself first. And you are enough because you are prioritizing yourself as you are. So these belief patterns are going to start to shift as well, because in each moment you are saying and you are declaring to the universe that you are a priority and that you love yourself enough to put yourself first. And you're just going to keep grooving that into your neural pathways that eventually they will shift to the other side and you will feel this full self-love and you will constantly be putting yourself first. And those beliefs that you had won't be so pressing and won't be so prominent anymore, because you're prioritizing yourself. And as you prioritize yourself, again, the world is going to shift to prioritize you. And you're going to be able to serve at a much greater capacity and really serve others in a whole new way and make a bigger impact for those around you. And you're going to actually, when you do give, get it reciprocated in the way that you were always hoping for, because again, you are giving it to yourself. Also, each time that you take this action of putting yourself first, you are signaling to your nervous system that it is safe. So you might feel initially resistance, that it's selfish. It might feel scary to put yourself first in certain situations over someone else. It might feel weird to just check in with yourself or feel kind of unsafe to give yourself what you need. Or you might feel like, am I worthy of putting myself first? And these things might come up. But as you keep putting yourself first, even with these thoughts, you're going to start to signal to your nervous system that it's safe, that it's okay to put yourself first, that you're going to survive, that there's nothing wrong with it. And so over time, you're really going to build that muscle too. Your nervous system is going to be able to get on board with you putting yourself first, because it's going to start to feel safe, because it's going to build evidence that, oh, this time when it was scary to put myself first, I still did it. I still took the action and I survived and it was fine and it actually worked out well. And so you're going to start to build the capacity to put yourself first more and more. And through that, you're going to consistently build evidence for a new story, for new beliefs that you are worthy, that you are lovable, that you are enough, and that you should be and can be prioritized. And your body and your nervous system starts to actually believe you. So then this becomes an embodied way of being that now becomes your baseline. Additionally, with the self-care pieces that we were talking about earlier, the massage, the facials, the bubble baths, the walks, the mirror work, the affirmations, the journaling, all of it, now it lands differently because you're already taking the actions and you're embodied in it. So the tools are now just reinforcing your way of being versus trying to convince you of something that feels untrue in your system. When I started to implement self-love in this way, I noticed that my entire world around me started to shift. Not only did I start to feel so much better towards myself and be so much kinder and gentler towards myself, and start to really form a deeper relationship with myself because I was even checking in to see how I felt before going to do something. Whereas before, I might have just moved straight into it or said yes right away to someone or just got right into work and not actually checked what I needed. And then I saw I was able to serve at such a greater level because I felt full and I felt like I had what I needed and I felt supported by myself. And then I saw people start to act differently towards me, people starting to care more about my needs and what I wanted, people starting to ask my opinions in situations that they hadn't asked before. Opportunity is starting to open up to me, all because I started prioritizing myself. So when I started giving myself this self-love and prioritizing myself, other people saw that they could do it too. It opened up so much possibility for me and really helped me serve in a greater capacity because I really felt that I now had what I needed so that I could give back to the world. I want to just highlight again to the power of when we become the source, when we become the source of our own love, of everything that we are needing in this life. It is so powerful because not only do we no longer need it from others, so we're able to fully give from a clear place, we also have the energy that we are desiring to serve in this world. When we have this self-love in this way of the source, life just feels lighter. Things don't feel as heavy because we know that we have our back, that we got ourselves. If anything happens, no matter what happens, we got us. And we form that belief by prioritizing ourselves in these moments. And something really powerful too is the ripple with this is that other people see how we are giving ourselves this love, that they then start to actually witness what true self-love is and what it really is like to have a woman who is fully full, who doesn't need anything outside herself, who fully has this self-love, which is not only so magnetic, but your kids can learn what self-love is and how to actually give this to themselves. And you can model that for them and they can see what is actually possible in that regard. And that's so powerful. And your friends, your relationships, they can start to see how this shift in you and they can start to see what self-love can really emanate and what's possible. And they get to reap the benefits of you serving from this place. And your relationship, think about how much this would change your relationship if you were always coming from a full cup instead of feeling resentment or exhaustion or irritation when you had to do things for your partner and you were just fully present and full. Think about like, oh my gosh, think about just how much that can shift things in your relationship, which can flow over into all areas. Think about in your business, in your career, how this could shift things when you are putting yourself first. And when you are full before you go into a task, before you go into a client call, before you go into a meeting, think about how that shifts things. Or in your finances, if you're constantly putting yourself first, think about how that reflects in your finances as well, and how then money starts to put you first and the world. So you can see here how this really ripples out into every single area of our lives. When we become full and we are putting ourselves first, the world responds and it gets to truly make a big impact. I think sometimes we think impact, we have to do all these things or we have to become someone we're not. But we can just make an impact just by the way we emanate, by the way we radiate, by the way we show up in our lives. And through implementing this piece of self-love can create a huge ripple effect. As I said earlier, so many of us struggle with self-love. So many of us don't know how to attain it and come in really needing to learn so much about it. And so many of us don't prioritize ourselves. So many of us feel like that's the last thing we can do with all the directions we're getting pulled in life, all the things we have to do, the people we have to support, the business we have to run, the financial commitments that we have, and we have to work and all of these things. But we get to shift that here. And we get to create this ripple by understanding that all we have to do is prioritize ourselves in each moment. So moment by moment, what do I need to be my best in this situation? And do it and give it to ourselves. What do I need? And start to really build that relationship with ourselves. And through that self-love, not these whole huge gestures that we might have thought we had to do, or not needing to, yes, it can be supportive. I'm 100% down for rewiring beliefs, but We can also just try this on. We can try this on, and over time, over repetition of showing up differently for ourselves, watch not only our belief shifts, but watch the way we relate to our own selves shift, and then watch how the world relates to us and what becomes available for us and what floodgates open up. So, just to reiterate the process here and just the steps, the formula, it's really simple. It's just in each moment, just pause, take a moment, just feel. What do I need right now? What do I need right now to show up as my best in this situation? And then give that to yourself. It might feel hard at first. It might feel difficult, or you might forget a bunch of times. But as you keep building this muscle, as you keep getting this repetition, it's going to get more and more ingrained in you and become more and more natural and more just this repeated pattern, this habit that you do in each situation. So you rewire your neural pathways. This micro shift in each moment can create a huge ripple in your life. It's not about just, yes, we love the big gestures, but it's about how are we showing up towards ourselves throughout the majority of our day? What is our baseline of self-love towards ourselves, of our relationship towards ourselves? And here's how we can shift that. So practice this week and see how it lands. See how it feels for you. See maybe if it feels uncomfortable or if it feels doable, and start to implement it throughout your day. And notice as you do the shifts that you start to feel in your own self and the way that people relate to you. To summarize, we can think self-love is this whole elusive term that can feel abstract or hard to get to. But we broke it down in this episode today. And it really is simply the main piece is prioritizing yourself first in all situations so that you can be at 100% to serve. Because as you fill your cup up and you get into overflow, you are able to pour out from a completely different place. And you are able to shift the way that you relate to yourself. And as you shift how you prioritize yourself, you are then sending that signal out to the rest of the world that they now can prioritize you. So self-love is such a key piece in what we want to create in life. When we have self-love, life can feel lighter. We can feel like we can accomplish more. We know, like I said, that we have our backs and we are able to serve from such a greater place. And our whole relationship to life, our whole perspective, the goggles that we're wearing can completely shift and can open up to something so much greater than we imagined. So try this on this week. Definitely let me know how this episode landed with you. Shoot me a message and let's get nourished. If this episode resonated with you, I would absolutely love if you could like, share, and subscribe to this podcast and leave a 5-star review as well. It is my mission to support as many women as possible in truly coming back to themselves, rooting into who they truly are, and ultimately become nourished in all areas of their lives. I would absolutely love for you to join me on that mission and help spread this podcast to anyone who you feel that it would be supportive for. Also, it would mean the world to me if you could reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is in the show notes, and let me know how this resonated with you, what you are loving in the podcast, and what you would like to see more of as well, so we can deepen the relationship over there. If you'd like to take these principles deeper and really embody them on a next level in your own life, I invite you to join my email list. The link is in the show notes. I will be emailing you each week. I host live webinars digging even deeper into these concepts and how you can practically apply them into your own life so that you can fully become lit up by life, nourished in all areas, and really embody all of the principles that I share here on this podcast. So again, the link is in the show notes to join. I would absolutely love to have you on there. I provide a ton of value on my list, different practices you can do each week, the webinars that you can tune into, and a lot of other fun goodies as well. And you'll be the first to know about podcast episodes too. So again, hop on over to my email list so that I can fully support you even further, and let's get nourished.